Hello, my loves. Hello. If you are catching the replay, hashtag it replay. Let me know where you are watching from. I'll just give it a second and allow for some beautiful souls to pop on. If you are new to me, if you are literally just finding me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am known internationally as the Soul's Shaman. I am a multidimensional teacher, healer, channel. I blanked out. I am a multidimensional channel, teacher, healer, and author. And my mission, what I'm here to do, is to help you come into balance with your mind, body, and soul through embodiment, moving from fear and anxiety and inner conflict into harmony with your soul's journey. So we can enjoy this freaking experience that we signed up for. Because we did sign up for it. So a lot of you know, and please give this a share. And that way you can help me spread the word. That really supports me and I appreciate it. A lot of you know that back in April, I boarded what I call Faith Airlines. I put everything I own in storage. Got rid of my apartment, said goodbye to my older children, my 2 beautiful dogs and kitty that I miss so much. And my kids, of course, I do miss them. And all sense of safety. And I decided that I was going to be a nomad. And I was going to be without all of those things that have been my safety and security for so long, right? And we always think that we know how this is, oh, it's going to be great. I know for me, so I'm just going to give you a little insight. For me, I was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm not going to have to pay rent, utilities. I will be able to do what I want when I want and travel and see all these beautiful places. And all of those things are true. All of those things are true. And the point of this is, for me, I've been doing this work and for myself first and foremost for a very long time. But I started doing it publicly in 2016. And I started with empowerment coaching. And then I kind of brought my spirituality. I came out of the woo-woo closet and I brought my spirituality into it in 2017. And so I have been sharing my journey of healing my trauma and what has worked for me for a very long time. And so this year for me, according to my spirit guides, according to my team, is a culmination and graduation point, right? This was me putting my money where my mouth is and taking the risk and proving physically through embodied action that I can integrate and master the lessons that I have been practicing and sharing all this time. And I really thought, oh, I got this. I could do this. I can find safety within me. I had already found safety within me, but I needed to really test it out, right? To really test out that theory. And the only way to find security and stability and safety within you, right? Which is what we all talk about. You can listen to any personal development teacher, any spiritual teacher, and they'll always tell you, right? Everything is within you. We know that. We know that everything is within us. But when you hit pay dirt and you decide to start walking that in like 100%, there is no half in, there is no I'm 75%. When you go 100% all in, you have to now, it's going to work or it's not, right? It's going to be the truest test of embodiment. Did I embody these fragmented aspects of me that were so wounded? Or am I going to keep repeating the same cycle? And so I want to talk a little bit about that, because to find that security and stability and safety within you, you have to have a combination of safety and risk. You have to have both. You can't just do this work and not take risks, right? You can't just play on the sidelines as a wildflower and watching all the lives and reading all the books and taking all the courses, but not putting the work into practicality of your everyday life. And those of you who have taken courses with me, you know, every time I do a course, I tell you, you have to put this into the practicality of your life. And I show you how to do that. I give ways for you to do that. And that's why people who complete my courses or in private mentorship with me have really good success, because I am somebody that knows when to hold your feet to the fire, because I've had to hold my own damn feet to the fire. And that's what I want to talk about today. Let me plug in my laptop. 1 second. And sorry if you guys hear noise in the background. It is hot in the UP of Michigan today, and so I'm downstairs. Hello from Toronto, Canada. Arizona in the house. Woo woo. Thank you guys for being here. Okay. So I did all that, right? I put all my stuff in storage. And the first thing I did was I spent a week at my ex-husband's house with my kids. So my daughter is 25. My son is about to be 16. And my ex-husband and my kids have my animals. And I spent a week with them after I put everything in storage and moved out of my apartment, and kind of used that as my landing space before I ventured out. My problem is the month and a half, hi Megan, of the month and a half or so that I was preparing for this, I was still seeking security. I was still seeking safety. And this is why I will always be very transparent with you guys. And I was looking for a solid plan. I was talking with certain people who I considered friends at the time, and we were making arrangements. I was going to stay here for a few months, and then I was going to leave, and I was going to do this, and I was going to do that. And it felt so beautiful and so freeing, but it was all an illusion. It was all an illusion. And the reason why it was an illusion is because I was seeking security in a uncertain adventure. I was still seeking security. I was still seeking that knowing of what's coming next. I couldn't just let go and be 100% in the uncertainty. And I didn't know this at the time because, you know, I was running off of, I was very busy. I was very distracted. I was doing all the things to prepare, right? Packing, getting my affairs in order, all of that stuff, right? There's a lot into it that I didn't even consider, because this is my first time living that nomad lifestyle. Oh, it's 1:11. So wouldn't you have it that every time I tried to make a secure plan and I felt so comfortable in it, it would fall through. So the person that I thought was a friend ghosted me and never even responded back, just stopped communicating at all. So that place fell through. And 2 other places that I was going to stay first fell through. And I started to panic. And so here I am at my ex-husband's house, and it took about 3 days before I hit full-blown nervous breakdown. I get emotional just thinking about that day because I literally lost my shit. The stress that I was suppressing to get through doing all of the things that I needed to do in order to leave was so much that it literally just exploded. Because once you get to a certain frequency, a certain state of being that is your natural state, it's almost impossible to repress or suppress things for a long period of time, to wear a mask, to pretend, to put on a show, any of those things, right? You just literally can't do it anymore. It will explode in your face. You will not be able to pass go, to move forward until you check in with your body and fix what's happening. I used to be able to suppress and repress emotion at any time for as long as I could, until, you know, months or years would go by and it would burst. But once you've become a certain level of self-aware and you do this work long enough, you reach a point where you literally can't do that anymore. You can't disassociate. You can't repress, you can't suppress, you can't do any of those things anymore. It will blow up in your face. It will literally stop you in your tracks. And that's what happened. So here I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, where I was going to go. And I have a little car, so it's not like I had an SUV or a van that I could just go live out of and camp, you know, like a lot of people do right now. I didn't really have that ability. And so I had a nervous breakdown, and I was frozen in this trauma response of making the wrong decision. It was like my first test, and I flat out failed. And that's okay. I had to fail, right? So I had to stop. This drive me nuts. I flat out, I just failed. I could not regulate my body to come into a state of balance where I could say, this is the choice that I want to make, a detached choice, right? So when we're in balance, when we're in flow, when we're detached, it's true detachment is when you allow yourself to feel everything without judgment. That is the flow state. That is the state that most of us are chasing, right? It's that state of the mixture of security and adrenaline from the risk and everything just all at once being felt. That is the flow state. This is the state that most athletes get into. And when you make a decision in that space, you're not afraid to fail and you're not attached to it working out. And I could not get to that space. I needed to make a decision from that space. If you follow human design, I'm an emotional manifester. And when you're an emotional manifester or emotional emotional authority, you have to be in a neutral space before you make a decision. You can't be in a space of lack. You can't be in a space of super excited. You have to be in that flow state, that detached state. And I couldn't get there. So when I couldn't do it on myself, I reached out for support. I reached out to someone that I know that does this work too. And I knew would be a safe person to listen. And she sat there and she helped me regulate my system so that I could feel better about making a decision. But what most people don't know is that my ex-husband is not a safe person, and not in a bad way. He wasn't abusive to me, but he and I were toxic to each other. And I did not feel safe, and I didn't have a space to have clarity. And so I made the wrong decision. And I made the decision to come to Michigan, where I was last year, for my book photo shoot. And I actually came out here last year for, I was flown in for an event in the Detroit area. But I made the decision to come here because she was a safe space. She was a safe space. And I felt, okay, I'm just going to go there. I'm just going to drive to Michigan. I'm going to explore on the way. She is a safe place. I will have my own space. I can get there, and then I can choose what to do from there. I just needed to find that safety and be in that space. And as much as I love her, and as much as I love this area and her yard, you guys, is literally, if you've been watching my personal page on Facebook, you know that it's like Bambi. We're like in the Bambi movie. There's skunks and deer and chipmunks and bunnies and all these beautiful creatures. You know, there's bears around here. They all just kind of come to the window to be fed, and it's a beautiful place. There's waterfalls and nature, and it's been wonderfully healing for me, but it was the wrong choice. And something that I share a lot, and I say that I've been reflecting on, is we're always right where we're supposed to be. But I used to believe that we were always right where we're supposed to be because of divine guidance or our divine blueprint or because of some universal thing. But what I have come to realize is that's not the case at all. Hi from Florida. It's not the case at all. You are right where you're supposed to be based on the decisions that you are making. First and foremost. Is there going to be sometimes divine intervention and things, you know, coming into play? Abso-freaking-lutely. but you are right where you're supposed to be because of the decisions that you are making or not making. And that is something important that everybody needs to hear. Seriously. You're not stuck in a relationship or a job or a business or in lack, limitation, separation, whatever it may be, trauma, because the universe wants you to be there. It's because of the choices that you are making or not making. And so I made the wrong choice. And by the time I realized that, I had already committed to staying here and watching her house while she went traveling. And so I knew that I would end up being here through the end of June. And in that process, I watched a lot of old patterns and emotional and physical consequences happen. And I can own that fully. And I think at some level, no, I don't think, I know that it wasn't wasted, and I'm not mad about it. And I'm not traumatized by it because I learned a lot from making that mistake. And that's kind of a little bit what I want to share with you today, because there are consequences to our actions. There are consequences to our choices or lack thereof. And we don't really realize that a lot of the time. And it's not that the universe is punishing us or God or whatever it is that you believe in. It's based upon our trauma responses or our belief systems or our lenses of which the world, we see the world through. They have natural consequences. And those consequences can sometimes be very painful or uncomfortable. So I experienced both physical and emotional consequences from my decision. So the first thing that I noticed was, I don't remember a lot of my childhood trauma. A lot of it was blacked out. Our amygdala in our brain will stop recording. It'll stop recording a memory when we are in a trauma. So when I was being abused physically, sexually, emotionally, psychologically, my amygdala would stop recording to the point to where I only have flashbacks and from the deep work that I've done on myself to integrate those aspects. And when those aspects felt safe, those fragments of me felt safe with me, those memories began to come back. Because while the amygdala stops recording, the body never forgets. So what happens is I'm someone who, I say this, I even said this in my book, the responses and reactions that we have to anything is all based upon energy. So it's not that the circumstances or the experience is the exact same. It's that the energy is the same. So we will have a trauma response or reaction, really, because that's what it is, when we are in a similar energy to a time when we experience trauma. It doesn't have to be the exact same experience or circumstances. It's not going to play out anything like it did in your childhood. It could, but it doesn't usually. It's just that the energy is the same. So the amygdala senses danger via proximity. So whether it's how close somebody gets to you or how far away they get from you, and it senses it via the energy, which is similar to the same energy of a said trauma or experience. And the reason why I bring this up is because I have disorganized attachment. Let me rephrase that because our words are powerful. I am recovering from disorganized attachment. And disorganized attachment is a mixture of anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. So, for example, in relationships, I would be like, please don't leave me. And then at the same breath, be like, get the F away from me. I would be both. And I feel like disorganized attachment, in my own personal opinion, I feel like it's the worst one because you have both sides. It's not like you're just healing from codependency or healing from being avoidant and hyper independent, right? It's a mixture of both. And it creates so much chaos in your life when you allow your trauma styles to be the lens in which you see the world. So guess what happened? I came to Michigan, and for the first time, I was away from my son in a way for, like physically away from him. And even though he's a teenager, and he chose to live where he did, I have never been that far away from him. And I have a lot of control issues around my son, and I can admit that because I wasn't supposed to have him. He was a miracle. And so I have this like protective energy that I try to put around him, which isn't serving him. But, I had to detach from my codependent people and behaviors and things that I use to create safety in my life. My apartment, my things, my children, my animals. I had to detach. So here I am thinking, well, at least I'm going to be away from my ex-husband. So now I can finally really close the book on that wound. I can really heal that wound because I won't see him driving around town. I won't see him all the time when I go to see my son. We won't talk as much. But the thing that happened was the opposite. So proximity, right? Now my kids, my ex, my animals, my belongings are all far away from me. And it triggered my abandonment wound. It triggered my abandonment wound because they went on living. They went on living. I didn't see my son, so out of sight, out of mind, right? So my kids weren't reaching out to me and talking to me the way that they had before. I wasn't kind of in the loop as to what was happening. And I felt extremely abandoned, neglected, left behind, not important, unworthy. It was like my inner child that had that wound, that aspect of me that hasn't fully integrated yet. I've been working on integrating her for a while. She's like, this proves our point. This proves our point. Here we go away. And they're like, okay, she's not important anymore. And that was the story that this inner child was playing because I had both my parents abandon me. Different types of abandonment, but regardless, right? It triggered the abandonment wound. And then we had the other side of the coin, proximity to power, intimacy. So here I was now living with somebody who I had always considered my safe space and someone who was safe to me. And I wasn't feeling safe. I wasn't feeling safe at all. And it was very uncomfortable. And I had to tell her that. And she knows because I was so confused why I wasn't feeling safe to a person that I could literally tell to F off, that I didn't like what she was saying. And we would just laugh about it later because we were each other's safe space. We didn't take each other personally. Not only that, but I met a man who had a shit ton of green flags. The only thing that killed that relationship from developing was he, within 2 weeks, was already talking about our future. And it freaked me out. It freaked me out. And so proximity to power, this gentleman was trying to get super close to me. And my friend was always in my energy. And so I was feeling unsafe because people were too close to me. And to witness that from a space of observation and witness how I felt in my body and the crazy ass stories that these aspects of me were saying was mind blowing. I learned so much in the last 2 months about these fragments of me that I've been working with. And that was important because the only way to integrate a part of yourself, and that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to integrate aspects of ourself. That's how we feel even though we're already whole, it's how we feel whole, is through integration. And why we're multidimensional, because we have aspects of us that are higher consciousness, our higher self, our soul, our galactic beings, our, different people that some of our guides are aspects of us. So we have these higher aspects of us, and then we have these lower aspects of us, which is our ego personalities, our protector personalities, and our inner children collective. So the healthiest person in the world still has 22 fragments. I really want you to think about that. If you've had trauma in your life, and trauma is not labeled by big T trauma, like abuse and such, then you're going to have more fragments. Anytime you've repressed or pushed a part of yourself away numerous times, you have created a separation, and that energy has created its own identity. And oftentimes people think that these are dark entities, when they're really just aspects of you. So here I was listening to these crazy stories. And in order to embody those aspects, I kind of needed that to happen. And I think it would have happened regardless of where I went, honestly. But in order to integrate, you have to first be willing to listen. So this is really valuable wisdom that I'm sharing right now. To integrate a part of yourself, to come into integration, you have to be willing to listen to the aspects of you and to identify those aspects. You have to be willing to listen to them without judgment, without impeding it. The reason why is so that you can come into understanding as to why they feel the way they feel. A lot of times, it's ridiculous things. It doesn't make sense. We know consciously those things aren't true, but it doesn't matter because it's true to that aspect of us. Because you can never tell anybody that what they feel is incorrect and not true. You can't help how somebody feels, including a part of you. So you have to listen so that you can come into understanding. And when we come into understanding, that is how we actually can achieve compassion. We cannot have compassion without understanding. It's just not the way it works. And through compassion, we open the door of our heart and we let that aspect back in, because that's what happens when we fragment. It's like we take a piece of our heart and we go over here and we lock it. My inner children, for most of my life, were all locked in a closet. All locked in the closet. They weren't allowed out. They weren't allowed to have an opinion. They weren't allowed to share their feelings. Oh, hell no. I medicated, disassociated, distracted, avoided, repressed, all of it. Shopped, drank, ate. I did all the things. We've all been guilty of this. So I've been spending this time getting to know these aspects and hearing them out. But here's the thing. To live in a state of surrender, that state of flow, we have to be willing to feel everything. And what I quickly discovered was that the fear of uncertainty, listen to this, the fear of uncertainty is really the fear of feeling what is in our unconscious, because the unconscious is dark. So when you feel in the dark, when you're afraid of what you don't know, what you're really afraid of is feeling what you have put in your basement and locked away. I mean, mind blown, right? I really want you to hear those words and think about it. And so I had to take my allowing and feeling, allowing myself to feel to the next level. And I wasn't good at it at first, because normally I would say I'm really good at allowing myself to feel. I have been doing parts work for quite a long time. I created a whole course called Reclamation about it, where you learn about the different parts of yourself. I shared the things that I have done. I integrated huge aspects of myself last year. I've integrated higher conscious aspects of myself. And so I'm thinking, gosh, why am I struggling with this? But it was because these things that were coming up were things that were in my basement. They were in my basement. They were in my unconscious. And I was afraid to open that door anymore because, to be honest, I'm done with sadness. I'm done with feeling sad. I'm done with feeling like it's not my turn in life. I was in the victim energy, and I haven't been in victim energy like that in quite a long time. And so I had to go back down and go back through a cycle, right? And this is what my guides, our perspective of karma is when we have to go back around a pattern or back through a situation or an experience again to get another angle, to look at it from a different advantage point so that we can learn the lesson, so that we can achieve wisdom. Not because an eye for an eye, not because you get what you put out. That is true to some extent, right? Because we are always projecting our reality. So what we see and experience is from our own state of being. So that part is true as well. But for us, the best explanation that the guides have ever brought through is that karma is you going back around a situation or having another life where you get to experience that situation from another angle. So maybe this is my turn to be the female when maybe in my last life I was the male, but I wanted to do something at another angle so that I could get it from this point of view, right? Or maybe I'm the mom this time, but last time I was the child. You know what I mean? Like, so we switch these roles so we can have another perspective. And of course, it's the soul's perspective. So sometimes we're not really aware of that. But anyway, so I have been spending this time allowing myself to feel some really deep, dark shit. And I had to become my own salvation because there is no safety outside of me. I had to relinquish control of what was happening in my child's life because I wasn't there and there's literally nothing I can do and it was killing me. I had to release control of the fact that I wanted to leave and go and travel and I couldn't because I had made an agreement and I was going to honor my agreement. I had to release these things because letting go it's just letting go of control. Because we had an expectation and we're disappointed or pissed off or attached to that expectation, right? So I had to I have been spending this time becoming my own salvation. And by becoming my own salvation, I'm practicing on a daily basis all of the things that I've been teaching in a new way. Like I've kind of putting them together in a new way. The person I'm staying with, I know some of you know who she is, but I'm not going to say her name. She was my safe person who would hold space for me. I also had a therapist who held space for me. I did have a high level coach, but that contract is ended. So I had those two people. But once I moved in to the person that was my safe person, I no longer felt safe to always share it with them. And so I had to go back to my basics of holding space for myself, being my own salvation, using my quantum embodiment technique, practicing presence, mindfulness, using my purification process, and doing it in a way that was simple, compassionate, and patient. Because what I was doing wasn't working. Worrying doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I still do it, but it's not working out for me. Controlling hasn't worked out for me. So if worrying hasn't worked out for me, controlling hasn't worked out for me, being paralyzed in fear hasn't worked out for me, being afraid to make a decision hasn't worked out for me. What is my choice left to do? How about try just being in the moment And something that the guides said was, what's happening right now in front of you? Because time is an illusion, and the only thing that is real is this now moment. The future isn't real. The past isn't real anymore. Yes, you had an experience, but it's not what's real right now. And your perception of the past is skewed. Every time you remember it, you're remembering it from a different version of you. So you're seeing it, it changes the story each time. So your past isn't even real anymore. The only thing that's real is this now moment. That's it. And so my guides kept saying, what's right in front of you? What's right in front of you, Johanna? What's right in front of you? Can you just be with what's in front of you? Can you just have that experience of what's in front of you? What is true in this moment? And working with that energy. And, you know, part of the disorganized attachment style is the fact that I was afraid to make the wrong choice. Because here's the thing, childhood trauma, right? When you grew up in an abusive home, you had to get it right. You had to meet, for me anyway, I can only speak for myself. I had to know with certainty what my caregivers needed to keep them in a certain state of being. I had to know what they were doing, when they were doing it. I had to know how they liked things done. I needed to know how to meet their emotional and mental and physical needs. Because if I didn't, if I got it wrong, I was as good as dead. I know that sounds extreme, but that's how I felt. Because when you are going through abuse as a child, sometimes you wish you were dead instead. Because the pain can be unreal to have people who are supposed to love you hurting you, neglecting you, abandoning you. And those things impede our emotional development, our emotional intelligence. And our emotional intelligence can get stuck at that age. It can get stuck. And so we can start working with these aspects of ourselves, and it will be revealed, the aspects of us that are ruling us. And I always say this, right? If you have children, you know. If you have children, I mean, even if you have animals, you can probably know. But if you have an unruly child, an unhappy child, somebody who is in full tantrum, their needs are not being met the way that they need them to be met, they're going to rule your life. You're going to have to change what you're doing, leave the grocery store, whatever, right? That happens with our inner children too. And so I had this inner child the moment I decided, honestly, the moment I decided that I was going to do this. I was going to board Faith Airlines, and I was going to fly in uncertainty, and I was going to anchor and integrate my safety and security inside of me. And that inner child said, well, the hell you are. And she has been the one who's been trying to rule me. So what do you do, right? What do you do? Well, I posted a quote today on my Facebook, my personal page, that said something to the effect of the child's behavior. Good parenting, let me rephrase it. I think it said something like good parenting is more about the parent's behavior than the child's behavior. So even though I have an unruly inner child who's losing her shit because she feels abandoned and she feels her boundaries are being violated, like she doesn't have a safe space, who's freaking out and throwing all of these irrational fears and mind shit up. The only thing you can do is to be the conscious, stable, secure, patient parent for that inner child. To listen to them, to not react, instead hold space. And I have been getting really, really good at this. To me, I had to find salvation in my soul. I had to find it in my soul. I had to really and truly, in a way that I had never been before, become my inner parents in a way that I had never done before. And I've been, like I said, I've been doing this work for a while. So with that being said, I have some exciting news. And I am going to be leaving here, like I said, at the end of the month. I'm not sharing where I'm going just yet. I will share afterwards, because I'm going to a retreat, and there's going to be some things we'll be talking about probably on my podcast and such. So that information is coming soon. But plus also stranger danger. So I try to not tell everybody where I am at the exact same moment that I'm there, what I'm doing. But anyway, so the exciting news is I have not put out a program this year. This is the first year that I have not put out a program in the first 6 months, because I have been taking some serious time and putting me first. I was the priority in my life. And no matter how my finances took a hit, no matter what was going on, I had to be the priority in my life. I had to choose me, because in my whole life, that's all I ever wanted someone else to do, was to choose me. So I had to choose me. And we know that we can't have stability and security without the mixture of safety and risk. So I finally am at a space where my inner light is shining once again. And I feel like I have held and got my inner children to a space where they feel safe to take more risks with me and to trust me. Because I have already proven through past integrations that I can build that bridge of trust within myself, and I can bring myself into union. So the evidence is there. And I want to share how I did this. So I am opening a 3-month sacred container experience. This is not a digital course. It is not something that you will want to do if you're passive or a wallflower, just wanting to watch and not be seen or heard. I know some people have the wound of being seen and heard. I know I did. And it's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary to be intimate. But intimacy is into me, I see. So if you can't be intimate with yourself and you can't learn to be intimate in a safe container, where are you going to learn to be intimate? How are you ever going to let love in? How are you ever going to let yourself in? How are you ever going to integrate any part of yourself? So this is a sacred container for 3 months. And it's called Soulvation, Becoming Your Own Salvation. And this is going to be a mixture of, I'm doing this different than I've ever done anything. So we're going to be doing, I take that back, I did do it in one other course. It'll be one class up to 2 hours. And then the next week, it will be a 2-hour community call. And that community call will be an opportunity for group coaching to work through the things that have come up, to talk about what's working for you, what's not, to get those tweaks, because this program is about integrating the other parts of you that are keeping you stuck, repeating the same unserving, limiting damn cycles that some of us are just ready to damn break. I don't know about you, but I just want to have joy in my life again. I want to enjoy uncertainty, because when we're in spirit, I mean, listen to this for a second, right? Because so many of us are like, oh my God, I gotta know. When we're in spirit form, when we're not wearing our human suit, we know everything. We know everything. When we want to know something, we just align to that frequency and there, boom, we know it. It's kind of boring. It sounds kind of boring, right? There's no excitement. There's no adventure. There's no surprise. And so we chose to come down to earth, partition off a lot of that knowing, and said, oh, let's go have some fun blind. Let's go have an adventure. And then we get down here and we forget that we did that. And we're like, oh my God, I need security. I need to know what's happening. We take away the spontaneity. We take away the adventure. I want to get that back. I am getting that back. And I know that a lot of you want to get that back too. So in this, like I said, we'll have up to a 2-hour class 1 week, and the next week we will have a community coaching call. We will also have 2 different lifelines to me and to the community. So we'll have a video chat that we will discuss inside the container. And then we will have a WhatsApp chat. I'm not doing a Facebook group. I honestly am over Facebook groups right now. So taking a hiatus from those, but it will be a group chat. So you will have a lifeline to me and to this thing, because when you're learning to become secure and stable inside of yourself and integrate, like I said, you need a mix of safety and risk. So the risk is doing this program. The risk is being intimate with yourself. The risk is opening up your basement. The safety is having me. The safety is having a community of your peers that are going through the same thing. Having people who are going to listen and not judge you, because I don't know about you, but I've been through some shit. And I've been coaching a long time and healing a long time, and I've heard some shit. I don't judge nobody. You could literally tell me that yesterday you buried someone in your backyard, and I'm not going to judge you. Probably wouldn't think it was a pretty smart idea, but I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to help you work through it. So in order for people to have that security and anchor that stability inside of themselves and start to integrate these fragments that are literally being like a rubber band, you get so far and that shit snaps back and you're like, damn it, I gotta repeat this shit again. And you know, this is perfect timing because, and funny, I didn't even realize I wasn't going to do this until July. I wasn't going to launch this until July originally. But a couple of days ago, my guides came in and they're like, you know, energy update, right? May, I said, was the point of no return. June, we're kind of in this pause moment where we're starting to integrate the new frequencies. We're needing to rest. But it's also the karmic cleanup. It's the residual. It's giving us an opportunity because in July, at the end of July, when we get through that galactic new year, everything's going to be different. Everything's going to be different. It's going to feel different. And I mean, it already does feel different, but it's going to be like we're starting anew in a way I can't quite articulate. So what a perfect opportunity to get into a program now, a container, a community where you can get a handle on this and learn these tools, because the tools that you're going to learn and practice and integrate in this experience will be things that you will use for the rest of your life. And I can almost guarantee that. Your guarantee to success is going to be you implementing it. And you can look at some of my reviews on my other past courses and experiences. They will say, if you do this work that she's guiding you through, you will see evidence. You will see it. You will see it work, but you have to apply it. And that's the biggest thing. And so in this, we're going to do, let me just go through some of the things that we're going to cover, because this is 100% going to be spirit-led, but I do already have some bullet points that spirit wants to touch on and integrate and work with. So you guys are going to learn my quantum embodiment technique. It's super simple and easy. It's something that I already shared in my course Reclamation, but I'm going to be sharing it in a way that I did not share it there. So Reclamation was more about learning what the different aspects are. And I'm actually probably going to drop one of those videos in the pre-video bundles before we start this experience together. We're going to learn energy management in different ways. So we're going to learn coping mechanisms that are healthy, and we're also going to learn energy management, physical and energetic. Okay, we're going to be working with those. We're going to be working with physical boundaries. We're going to be working with the purification process. Even if you've read my book, even if you already know what the purification process is, again, we're going to be using it in different ways because this modality is so damn adaptable. It's crazy. We're going to be learning how to live in that flow state, that state of surrender. We're going to be practicing that in true presence, true mindfulness. And we're going to be learning how to hold space for others and for ourselves. Okay. And let me tell you that the holding space piece is a game changer, because one of the major issues in my last relationship, and I have no problem sharing this transparently, was I didn't have anybody. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anyone to really share in my community my day-to-day with. So my husband became my dumping ground, the person who held space for me, except what I would not recognize, what I was in denial of, I would not recognize, was he was not capable of holding that space for me. He wasn't capable. And he didn't have any boundaries to say, hey, I can't hold space for you today, I'm full. And we're also probably going to be working with part of, energy management is you learning how to recognize, right, when you can do something and when you can't, and how to articulate that. And I feel I am beyond excited about this experience, because I honestly didn't think I was going to run a program this year at all, because I knew that my priority had to be me. But I finally feel like I'm at a space where I can do a little bit of both. And I'm coming into that balance, and it's perfect, right? Because again, balance is releasing the judgment of whatever it is that we're feeling. That balance, that flow state is allowing ourselves to feel and experience without judgment, without condemning it. That is where the true power comes in. Because if you're listening to your voices in your head and you're feeling the feelings in your body, but you're judging it, you're not integrating it. You're not serving yourself, right? You're just creating the pain and shame cycle. Well, let me look at the pain. Let me look at the awareness, and let me shame and guilt myself for it and judge myself. And then it just repeats. Just repeats. The self-shame cycle is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Glad I can tell you where the bodies are buried. Yes, Sonia. Seriously. I obviously confidentiality. I'm not going to say things, but I know things, and I don't judge. People are always shocked. They're like, how come you didn't have a reaction to that? I'm like, because, I mean, what does it matter? It doesn't. It's what's done is done. Let's work through it. Megan says, hell yes, I can affirm that based on past communities and courses, you are worth the investment. Thank you, Megan. I love you. I appreciate that. Karen says she loves seeing the wildlife in my videos. Aren't they awesome? So anyway, let me drop a link to this. So what we're going to do is we'll have our first welcome call. I believe it's Monday, June 27th. It's just going to be a very short welcome call. We're going to be ironing out some things. When people join into this experience, they'll be given the links to the Marco chat and the WhatsApp chat. And I'm going to be asking for you guys to put in, where you're located, what your time zone is, and what's your best availability to be live and a participant. Because once again, I'm just going to be honest. And if you're not somebody who wants to be an active participant, who wants to be seen or heard or helped to work through something and be vulnerable, and you just want to be a wallflower watching, this is not for you. But if you're courageous and you're ready to move out of that anxiety and fear and unserving, unhealthy patterns of seeking outside of yourself for security and stability, then this is for you. Because, and I shared this on my landing page, but I'm going to share it here. I'm in one of these, I don't know if you guys know who Melanie Ann Layer is. She is a divine feminine coach, but she works a lot with helping you like with your money and relationships, things like that. I'm in her group, and someone posted and said, hey, I would like to know what it feels like to make $50,000 a month. Because we know with manifesting, right? We're always manifesting anyway, by the way, no matter what, every day of every moment, you are always manifesting. But when you want to manifest intentionally, it's about tuning into that feeling and not having the thing, right? It's not about necessarily visualization and all of that. That can work, but it's about feeling it first, because we are the projectors of our reality. So our state of being, Tesla says, state of being creates an emotional vibration, which then is projected out, right? So our state of being, our frequency, creates an emotion, which is kind of the transportation that then sends out a signal, AKA the vibration. So we have to first feel that state of being before we can see that thing tangibly. And so this woman was like, hey, I want to know, what does it feel like to make $50,000 a month? I don't make $50,000 a month, so I couldn't answer that question, but I was very curious as to the answers. And almost every single answer was the same. It feels no different than making a couple $1,000s a month. No different. In fact, one of the women said she thought it was going to change her state of being. And what she said was, it's sure I could buy more things and I had more free time. I had more resources, but it didn't make me happy. It didn't change anything, actually. So whether I was making $2,000 a month or $50,000 a month, my state of being didn't change. It didn't fix me. And it does prove that you can make a lot of money even if you feel not enough or feel those things. It can happen. But money or the man or woman or the home or the car or the job or the business isn't going to change anything. The outside can never change the in. It always starts within. And that brings us full circle, because I know for me, when I first started really waking up and going on this self-awareness awakening journey, I heard that a lot. Everything's within you. Go within, go within. I was so sick of fucking hearing that shit, let me just tell you. Because nobody was teaching me how to work within. Yes, we have shadow work and all of that, but that's not even the same. I don't see a lot of people out there showing people how to find safety and stability within them. I had to figure it out on my own. And so I want to be that change, and I want to show people what worked for me, and I want to help tweak it and make it work for you. So with that being said, I hope you received some value from this live, because I find that being vulnerable with you guys and telling you the truth of what I've experienced and where I am and what I'm doing is valuable. And it shows, one, you're not alone. And it doesn't matter who we are, how many people follow us, what we teach, who we channel. I am always forever a student first. Always. Otherwise, I would be, I don't even know. Anybody who is not a student first, in my opinion, is out of alignment. So I am always a student first. And I learn through trial and error. And when I figure it out, when I find something that works, that has shown me tangible evidence that it works, all I want to do is share that. And so this is me doing that. So I dropped the link. Take a look, read the landing page, check it out, because it's a beautiful landing page, I must say. So check it out. I'm kind of proud of it. And you guys get to see some of my new photos of me from the beautiful photographer and friend Tanya Lee. If you guys have started to notice some of those photos from last year's photo shoot. And I hope to see you guys in there. And if you have any questions at all about this experience, what it entails, if you have questions about, if it's something that you're ready for, reach out to me, just PM me, just message me, or email me if you want. And I don't, usually I'll say when I do certain courses that there's prerequisites. There isn't with this. It doesn't matter if you've taken all of my courses. It doesn't matter if you've worked with me privately. It doesn't matter if you haven't taken anything and you're a newbie. I think that this will meet everybody where they are, and it can be tailored and adjusted. And I'm going to be there helping you do that. So I'm super excited to launch this. I will mention this right away. This is going to be a short launch, so this cart will only be open for about 7 days or so. And there is a fast action bonus. So if you pay in full and you do it within the next 72 hours, you will get 2 sessions with me, 2 private sessions with me. So that is, my sessions are $333 a piece. So that is what, $666 bonus. You can schedule those anytime during our 3 months together. And that will give you private, not isolated, but private one-on-one time with me. So there is a fast action bonus. So the next 72 hours, if you sign up and you pay in full, you will receive those 2 sessions, and you can book them right away, or you can wait and use them throughout the course. So there's also a payment plan that's pretty reasonable. And so I just want you guys I just want to show up and provide something. And it's your choice to take it or not. It's your decision, not mine. So either way, thank you guys for hopping on and listening to me today. I appreciate it. And keep following along because there's more adventures to come and some exciting things for me to share after I go through them, because I'm keeping a couple of things kind of tucked away. But I'm excited to share once I've experienced it. So there'll be lots of good, juicy new adventures to watch and to follow along with. So have an amazing day, you guys, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.